So welcome to unit number 5. So dynamic analysis lecture number 2. So in this lecture number 2, so let will see that once you completed the lecture number 2, you may be able to see the some of the contents. Those are called, first one is a difference between the static and dynamic analysis in the finite element methods. So you may be going to see that what would be the difference between the static analysis as well as dynamic analysis once you completed this lecture. Then after that, you may be going to see that the governing equation of the dynamic analysis problem. So you may be going to derive here what is the governing equation for the dynamic analysis problem. So once you derive the dynamic analysis problem governing equation, then from that governing equation, you are able to see that what would be the governing equation for the free vibration problems. So there is two types of vibration problems are there. One is called as a free vibration, second one is called as a forced vibration. So once you derive the dynamic analysis governing equation, then from that one you should able to find out the free vibration governing equation. Then once you find the free vibration governing equation, then you should find out the natural frequency from that free vibration governing equation. So then after that, you're going to able to see that what is the cyclic frequency for the free vibration governing equation. So these are the some of the contents today we are going to discuss. So once you completed this lecture, you may be understanding all these contents. Let us start with the first one is a difference between the static and dynamic analysis problems in the finite element approach. So here we can see that the static analysis, and the other side we can see that the dynamic analysis. In the static analysis, the first and foremost point would be the coming to the force. The force is constant with respect to time. So here in the whenever the force is with respect to time, if it is a constant with respect to time, then that type of analysis we can call as a static analysis. If the force is varies with respect to time, then that type of analysis comes under the dynamic analysis. So the second point come to the static analysis, the displacement is also static in the static analysis, but whereas in the dynamic analysis, displacement varies with respect to the time. So coming to the static analysis, the third point would be the static analysis requires lesser solution time, but whereas dynamic analysis needs more analysis time. And here the last and foremost point would be the output will be the stress and displacement for the static analysis problems. But whereas in the dynamic analysis problem, the output will be the stress, displacement, velocity, acceleration. All these varies with respect to time. So these are the some of the difference between the static and dynamic analysis. So coming to the dynamic load, let will understanding the dynamic load with a few words. So the first one would be defined as the magnitude, direction, and or point of application of the load change with respect to time. Just now we saw that the previous slide, in the dynamic analysis, the load is changing with respect to time. So under the action of dynamic load, the structure vibrates, and that is the structure develop the significance level of inertial force, as well as if the dynamic loads acting on a member, it is also subjected to generate the stored energy. Those stored energy is called as a kinetic energy. So that's called the significance level of mechanical energy is stored as kinetic energy. So these are the some of the variable points. And coming to the dynamic load, the very important note. So not all time varying loads need to be a dynamic in nature. Let us see the example of that. The first example for that one, the load on dam due to filling of reservoir. And second example, we can see that load on a spectator gallery as a stadium gets filled up. So these are the two example comes under this case. Now let us see that the few example, those are belongs to the dynamic load. The first example is earthquake loads on buildings, bridges, dams, power plants, etc. The second one is let us take the wind load on long span bridges, tall chimneys, and etc. The third example for the dynamic loads would be the loads due to blast as well as impacts. And the last one is the running machineries in the buildings is also one of the example, as well as vehicle moving on a bridge. So these are the some of the example for the dynamic analysis problems. Then the next very important word would be the degree of freedom. So the degree of freedom, we are familiar with this term and we discussed it in the last previous units also, because right from the finite element analysis we deal with the degree of freedom. The degree of freedom says that the number of independent parameters that are required to specify the status of the point, or otherwise, in other words, we can say that the number of independent coordinates required to specify the displacement at all points in the system and at all times. So we can see that the few what is our pictorial views here, and let will understand the degree of freedom. And here the degrees of freedoms may be the 1 degree of freedom, 2 degree of freedom, and 3 degrees of freedom. If you say that 1 degree of freedom means that it needs only one parameter required to specify the status of the point. Let us say if the point is one-dimensional point, therefore it need only x coordinate value to specify that point. So therefore that point belongs to 1 degree of freedom. Similarly, if the point is a two-dimensional point, therefore to specify that point, we need that x comma y coordinates, or y comma z coordinates, or x comma z coordinates. So therefore to specify the two-dimensional problem, we need two coordinates. Therefore we can say it is a 2 degree of freedom point. And if the same point lies in the three-dimensional view, therefore to specify that particular point, we need x comma y comma z direction coordinates to specify the three-dimensional problem. Therefore we can say it is a 3 degree of freedom. So in that way, it can be possible to say that the displacement or the force or velocity or the temperature may be the function of the one coordinates values, or the maybe the 2, or maybe the 3. So depending upon the degree of freedom, if degree of freedom is 1, therefore the parameters are depending upon the only one parameter. If degree of freedom is 2, then depends upon the 2 parameters. If the degree of freedom is 3, therefore it depends upon the 3 different parameters. So that is called as the degree of freedom. This degree of freedom will be very useful for solving the dynamic analysis problem. We'll see some of the remarks related to the degree of freedom. So the degree of freedom is not an intrinsic property of a given structure, but it is a choice exercised by the modeler. And here let us see that the few things. S degree of freedom system. The S degree of freedom is nothing but the system with a 1 degree of freedom. We can call that as a S degree of freedom. If the system having that more than 1 degree of freedom, we can say M degree of freedom. That is called multiple degree of freedom. So the system with a degrees of freedom is greater than 1, we can call M degree of freedom. So M degree of freedom system could be discrete or continuous. If it is a discrete, it has a finite number of degrees of freedom. If it is a continuous, it may have the infinite number of degrees of freedom. Okay, the coordinates need not to have direct physical meaning. We can say that generalized coordinates. The degrees of freedom is equal to a number of or the coordinates that is required. Okay, so coming to the FEM. So the FEM is replace a system with a infinite degrees of freedom by a system with a finite degrees of freedom. If see here, we say that the degrees of freedom will be the S degrees of freedom as well as M degree of freedom. So M degree of freedom is greater than the 1. So if the M degree of freedom can be classified into the two cases, one is a discrete as well as a continuous. The discrete having the finite degrees of freedom, and whereas continuous having the infinite degrees of freedom. If continuous or infinite degrees of freedom is there in the problem, so by using the FEM, we can replace a system with a infinite degrees of freedom by a system with a finite degrees of freedom. So this is only possible by using the FEM techniques only. So that can be possible in this analysis.